Welcome back to EDU-Tutor. Today we're going to be looking at Principles of Accounts, May June 2024, and we're going to be looking at question 4. If you want to see the other videos on question 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to put the link to the playlist above so that you can watch it. If you find these videos interesting, please subscribe to our channel, like, and share. Alright, so question 4 looks at payroll accounting. It says Ariana manufactures a component which is used in the production of cell phones. Sales of component for the use of the first 3 quarters of 2023 are as follows. So in January to March, she used 5,100 units, April to June 6,300 units, and July to September 6,750 60 units. So the first part of the question, Ariana has been operating with a policy whereby she maintains a closing inventory sufficient to cover 5% of the next quarter's sales. Ariana forecasts that sales in the last quarter of 2023 will be 8,880. All right, so here we got a production budget to prepare. All right, so the first thing that we start a production budget with is our sales figure. So the sales forecast of all 3 months, we're just going to simply be putting them into this table. So the sales for January to March was 5,100. For April to June, which is the second quarter, 6,300. And for July to September, 6,760 units. That's the amount of units they plan to sell. Then, in order for us to find how much was produced, we add the closing inventory and subtract the opening inventory. Alright, so let's do that. So add closing inventory, and that is because we need to find out the total produced. So in the notes, they usually give you the closing inventory. It says that the closing inventory is maintained at 5% of the next quarter's sale. So in January to March, the next quarter would have been April to June. So we have to find 5% of April to June's total. In April to June, the next quarter would have been July to September. So we find 5% of that total. So that's 6,760. And in the third quarter, the next quarter would have been October to December. Now notice that the sales was given for that month down here where it says Ariana forecast that sales in the last quarter is 8,080. 8,880. So that's why we need that statement. That's the importance there. Alright. So let me draw a line so that you don't get confused. All right. So when you put these into your calculator, it's 305, 315 for quarter one, quarter two, 338, and quarter three, 444. 444. All right, so if you want, you can total what is going so far. So you can add the 5,100 to the 315. So I'm going to do that for those persons who might have it harder to follow. So 5,100 plus 315 will give us $5,415. 6,300 plus 338 will give us 6,638. And 6,760 plus $444 is going to give us 7,204. Then we are going to less opening inventory. All right. So for opening inventory, the information was also provided. Remember that every quarter there is a 5% of sales that is maintained of the next month. So for January to March, the previous period they would have ended with 5% of the expected sales for January to March. So therefore we're going to find 5% of what was sold in January to March to determine how much they started the month with. Alright. So 5% multiplied by 5,100 would have given you the closing inventory for the previous period. And whatever we end a period with, we start the period with. So that's why we know that we started the period with this amount, which is 255. Let's put this up a little more so that we can draw another line. All right. Now remember that we ended January to March with 315 closing inventory. All right, we ended January to March with 315 closing inventory, which means that we started the next month with the 315, and then we ended quarter two with 338. So we start quarter three with the 338. So that is our opening inventory. Now we just added these figures to what we got up here. So this is 5,670. Then we have 6,638 plus 315, which gives us 6,953. And we also have 7,204 plus 338, which gives us 7,542. And that would be your answer. So you can double underline both spaces to give you. So that's the production. Okay, so for those who noticed, I added those figures. So just go ahead and subtract them. Alright, so it's 5,415 minus. It's minus because it says less. So 255, which is 5,160. 6638 minus 315, which is 6323. And 7,204 minus 338, which gives us 6866. All right, yes. So this is your answer. And you double underline these items to show that you have completed or you found the answer. And that is your answer there. Alright, so moving on. The selling price per unit during the budget period will be $8 per unit. How many units should Ariana plan to sell if she wishes to achieve a sales revenue target of 45,000 in a quarter? So therefore, we are going to divide 45,000 by the selling price to tell us how much money Ariana, how much units Ariana should sell. So it's the total, so it's sales revenue and selling price per unit. And it's a division, so let me draw the line. Alright, good. So our sales revenue is 45,000 and our budgeted selling price is $8. So in total, we are going to get 5,625 units. Five thousand six twenty-five units. Very simple question there. Then it says C. So C says Ariana employed Selena, production worker. Selena is required to work a 40-hour week and is paid at a rate of $200. Hours worked in excess is 40 hours. Of 40 hours is overtime and are paid at a rate of time and a half. During the second week of April, Selena worked a total hour of 44 hours. So we should calculate her gross pay for that week. So first we calculate regular 40-hour work week, which is equal to 40 multiplied by the $200, which is the rate per hour, which is equal to $8,000. Then her overtime is the excess hours, which is 4 hours. How we get the 4 hours? Let me put it over here. Overtime is equal to 44 minus 40, which is the regular hours, which is equal to 4 hours. Alright, so if you don't get that, there is how we work it out. Alright, so that's $8,000 for the regular work week. The overtime now is time and a half. So it's equal to 200 multiplied by 1.5, which is time and a half, multiplied by 200, multiplied by 44, which is the excess hours. So the $200 is the rate, the 1.5 is the $200 is the hourly rate, the 1.5 is the overtime rate, and the 4 hours is how much hours they should get overtime for. All right. So in total, if you put that into your calculator, you will get 1,200. So they are getting $1,200 for those overtime hours, and then her gross pay will now be equal to $9,200. All right, so that's how much money she will pay Salina. For the month of April, Salina Smith earned a gross pay of $33,200. The following data is to be applied to her pay. Calculate Miss Smith's net pay for the month. So we are doing taxation. So first things that we're going to calculate NIS, which is equal to 5% multiplied by her 33,200. And that is equal to $1,660. Her income tax is equal to 10% multiplied by the 33,200, which is equal to 3,320. And then we also have monthly credit union contribution, which is equal to $300. So her net pay is equal to her gross pay minus total deductions. Her total deductions so you can add all three: NIS, income tax, and monthly credit union contribution to give you her total deductions. So it's 1,660 plus 3,320 plus 300, which gives us a total of $5,280. So our net pay therefore is 33,200 minus 5,280, which is therefore equal to 27,920. So her gross pay is 27,000. Her net pay is 27,920. Alright, so let me just go back up to show you. And you could have laid this out as a table format, but you don't have to. Alright, so the next part of the question says complete the following check for the net pay amount which is due to Salina. So it's the 30th of April, or we can put April 30th, 2023. Pay to her name, so it's Salina Smith. Very simple. The sum of, so you're going to write out the amount that she should receive in words. So she should get $27,920. So it's 27,920. No sense. So what you do when there is none of a figure, or even when you're finished, you draw a line. All right. Then you put the figure here, 27,920, and also put your cents, which is 0. And that is the answer for question 4. Alright. So if you want to see the answer for question 5, please come back to this playlist, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.